Revisit the stainless steel Mk3 Escort from last time. Yeah, I did indeed say that this was done, or that you could say that this is a complete project. And indeed you can. Mk3 Escort in stainless steel's a wonderful thing to grace any mantelpiece. So if you're happy with it like that, then that's absolutely fine. I was almost happy enough to leave it there myself. You can just pretend this isn't happening. You can pretend it isn't being taken apart and having more work done to it. You can pretend this is a figment of your imagination and it's not actually happening. But the reality is, it is happening, because not that there was anything wrong at all with just having a nice plain stainless steel Escort Mark III. There was obviously something further that I felt I could do with it. I clearly had a plan right from the start with this. And what you're seeing unfolding now is just that dastardly plan, evolving from the stage of merely being a plan and slowly but surely coming to some kind of fruition. So I've just taken it apart again for now, but I've gone over it with 8,000 grit and 12,000 grit pads just to get even more of a chrome shine in it. And now I'm masking off the bottom half, because I'm actually keeping the bottom half just as it is. Probably don't take a lot of deducing to work out that, yeah, I'm going to do this as like a two-tone thing. So the bottom half, well, the bottom, it's not really the bottom half, is it? It's the bottom third, I would say, below what would be the rubbing strip. That's exactly as I want it, and I'm happy with it. So I'm masking that off, and I'm trying to keep the headlights. This is just a labour-saving thing. That's a little tiny bit of blue tack that I'm putting onto the headlights, and I'm just tamping it down and shaping it a bit and trimming it down a little bit with the tweezers, because I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world, because there's it's transparent paint going onto a chrome body. It's not really the end of the world to just kind of reveal the headlights again by just scratching them off afterwards. But I'm just trying to save myself a little bit of work by masking them off. And if I tried to cut out a tiny little piece of masking tape just to go over those tiny little headlights, it wouldn't stick. It'd just be a waste of time. So I'm tiny little bit of blue tack, that should cover it nicely. It probably won't mask it off absolutely completely right to the edge, but that doesn't matter, because I can go to the edge with a little scalpel blade or something like that. I'm just trying to save myself a bit of time. So the overall idea with this, I'm trying to make it something that is within the bounds of what Corgi might have made themselves in the 80s, but obviously at the very limits of what would have been in the bounds. So there's going to be no fine realistic detail on there. I'm not painting in like the petrol cap and the window frames and things like that. And I'm not doing anything with the backlights either, because there's no point. When you see the colour that the body's going to be, there's not a lot of point. And I don't think, like I say, I want to try and keep it within the bounds of what Corgi themselves might have done. They did used to black the bumpers and the grills on these. Well, this one had a black bumper and grill when it came in. It's just that it was very heavily chipped. And the back bumper was, I think, as well. So there's no problem there. That's still kind of within the bounds of what they might have done. The headlights being left silver, just left bare metal silver, that's obviously not within the bounds of what they'd have done, because they didn't do any cars in bare metal silver. But what I'm trying to do, this is kind of like an alternate universe where Corgi made this Mk3 Escort in the way that they did and put the details on that they did, but they also were at that time still doing what they used to call Corgi Rockets. They were a little bit before my time. They were sort of from the late 60s into the early 70s, and they used to have, similar to the Hot Wheels kind of Spectraflame finish, like the bare metal sort of chrome look with transparent paint. Quite spectacular. I don't know what they were thinking of when they decided to stop doing them, really. So that's the plan. It's a early 80s Corgi Junior, done in the paint style of a late 60s, early 70s Corgi Rocket, but the detailing has been applied within the kind of bounds that they would have put onto this Escort. Yeah, I ended up redoing the headlight things because I had to take them off just to black the bumpers. The reason I blacked the bumpers first is because it's really, really easy if you make a mistake to correct it when you're just putting the black bumpers against the bare metal. And also, when the transparent paint goes on there, the black bumpers will still show up as black underneath, and you can put a little bit more on afterwards as well, just to really black them. The paint I'm making up, what you just saw then when I just turned all that lot over, this is basically a very thin red that I've got, and it's going to have a little tiny bit of all those colours put into it. I'm not saying I know what colour that's going to make, I just get the feeling it's probably going to make a pretty vibrant red, and that's what I want. So red top half, bare metal chrome lower half, and then the bumpers blacked. That's it, really. And the headlights obviously left silver. Now, I'm showing this Studebaker from a few months ago because if you haven't got an airbrush, yeah, it makes this next stage a little bit hard to do for anybody that's not got an airbrush. We'll do it like this, like the Studebaker. It's still half chrome, half bare metal, but I used an aerosol metallic red instead, so just use that if you haven't got an airbrush. It's just that you'll have to do the bumpers like this afterwards. You won't be able to do the bumpers first and then have the transparent paint still show them through. You'll need to put them on like I'm just demonstrating on this one, and then you haven't got the advantage of it just being the bare metal. If you end up colouring outside the lines, you will have to be ready with a bit of cotton wool with some water on it just to get that off. And then, but then other than that, it should be just as per what I'm about to do now. See, that's it. It's a shame the Volvo ain't already painted. That bumper's done, really. So, yeah, once again, I ended up making it a little bit too thick. It was very thin to start with, but by the time I'd put that little bit of each of the unthinned paints out of those different jars into it, it ended up quite thick. So it was again, put it on nice and close and get it all on in one coat. I don't know how I keep getting away with this, because it just looks, even watching it back now, it just looks like the most disastrous airbrushing job I've ever seen. You just think that's not going to work out. But I don't know if it's the design of these particular airbrushes that makes them, because I don't remember ever really, with the more expensive airbrushes, being able to put it on as close and as thick as this and still get a good result. But there you go, that's within about half an hour. It still looks a little bit orange peel at this stage, but I wasn't worried. I thought it always improves. This transparent paint always improves as it dries, and there you go. That was a few hours later. That's a few hours after that. So it's at the stage now where it's almost done. It's looking quite sharp in its new colour combination, but it still needs a few little details ironed out and tidying up. Part of it was laziness on my part, because I decided that the front valance, which I'd forgotten to mask it before taking it outside to start with the airbrush. I just thought, oh well, I just won't go near that with the airbrush and that'll be all right. But of course it caught some overspray, so I'm just getting it off with the point of some tweezers is actually quite good for just managing little bits of overspray off. And then you just go over it afterwards with, I mean, I find that this 3000 grit sanding cloth is a good thing just to go over it with afterwards, just to shine up the metal. There was a little bit of the blue tack that I'd not got out of the headlight, so that was good. That left a nice, that was actually a very nice clean mask. But like I said, the bits where the blue tack didn't quite get to the edge and a little bit of paint crept onto it, you just manage it off with the tip of something. It doesn't have to be tweezers. Tweezers is probably not the best thing really, but I find it's good if you just get practiced and skilled with using a variety of different implements, and then you're never going to be looking for one particular thing before you can do the next stage. There'll just be a wide variety of things that you can pick up to accomplish any given task with. So that's after the tidying up. So you can see I've tidied up around the headlights, and the masking on the body itself, along the middle of the body, that actually went very well indeed. You could argue that there's some tiny little bits crept through, but you really are letting perfection be the enemy of very good if you start trying to do anything with that, because before you know it, you'll have taken too much of the paint off and you've got to paint it again. I think this is the effect. This is overall the effect that I'm after. It reminds me, from what I've seen of Corgi Rockets, because I haven't seen that many close up, if I'm quite honest with you, but from what I've seen of them, this is the overall effect that they have. They might not be two-tone. That's a little bit of artistic license on my part, and I'm not saying that the manufacturer would have bothered to mask off the headlights either. So that might be, and probably picking out the little tiny Ford oval in the middle probably isn't something that they've done really. So I've probably gone a little bit beyond the bounds of what the manufacturer might have done had they decided to do this sort of shiny, spectroflamey, chromy version of the Mk3 Escort. But it's conceivable that they could have done it like this. It's not like I've done anything really silly, like sort of ordered a set of premium 3D printed wheels that wouldn't have been around in the 1980s or anything like that. Anyway, I think I've pretty much achieved what I wanted to achieve with this. So, as always, thanks very much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you on the next thing, whatever that might be.